What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Earlier in the spring, I showed you all how I plant strawberries. Now, in today's video, I want to check in on them and show you how you can actually get free strawberries from the ones you already planted and maybe give you a peek of the new food forest too. Let's go! Ideally, strawberries like grown in full sun, but you can grow them in some partial shade. That's what I do in the 7-year-old food forest. In spots like underneath the trees, I'll plug in strawberry plants, let those spread by runners and stuff, and just have a whole nice patch of strawberries in a location that most people won't even plant. Like I said, the best is in full sun, but if you can get any harvest in this location under the trees, I think it's worth it, because who else would be growing under there? It would be wasted space. Instead, we're gonna be growing and eating strawberries. Let me grab a couple. Here's just some. We've got so many under here, and this is under one of our apple trees. So right above it is a McIntosh apple right there. So hopefully we get some apples from it this year, get a harvest from that, and also the strawberries. And don't forget about the grapes too. So you can see this strawberry patch right here is getting a decent amount of shade, but it's still performing. We don't like to waste any space if we don't have to. And this patch used to be a lot bigger in the past, but as a result of the trees getting bigger, the shade has kind of caused the strawberries to move in different locations. Let me bring you into an area though where it's full sun in the new food forest and show you how we planted the strawberries there. As I take you over to the 1-year-old food forest where we have the new strawberry plantings in, there's a couple things I wanted to mention. The first one is when you order the strawberry plants, I highly suggest you ordering from a good reputable company from Bare Root. This way you'll get nice big bare root ones. You'll be able to pick a variety that you want and one that has good disease resistance to your local environment. So just picking the right variety for the right location, that is huge. If you just go to the big box store, pick up the ones they have, the roots are gonna be smaller and you're not gonna get the one you want. Another thing is if you do order them and they come a little early, you can keep them in the fridge for a couple weeks. This will help preserve them, keep the moisture in, and then when you want to plant them, you can get them in the ground. The best is actually in the early spring, as soon as you can. But if you live in the south, you can plant them in the fall too. So right here is the first row of strawberries we put in. As you can see, they're performing beautifully. You can go back to the video if you like, and I go over more specifics on exactly how to do it, how to put it in, the importance of not burying the crown, which is where all these leaves unfold from. So burying it deep enough so you get all those roots in, but not burying it too deep that you block that crown. You don't want to cover that crown there. And you can see here, shooting off a number of my strawberry plants, we've got this little thing. What is this? This is what we need. These are the runners. When it comes to strawberries, there's a number of different ways you can grow them. My favorite way is to space them as I did, about 1.5 to 2 feet apart. And then when those runners come out, to move those runners around and let them fill in all the gap and all the space. This way you've got a nice matted row of strawberries. So I've got 3 rows, 1 here and 2 more in the new food forest between my rows of trees. This way we're getting a nice perennial harvest in the section where the trees aren't. You'll notice that I didn't plant strawberries around the base of the trees when they were young. Since these are brand new trees, I don't want to stunt their growth, or I don't want them to have any real competition at the base layer. When they're a little older, they've got deep roots, I won't worry about that. That's the same thing with the strawberries though. We don't want any competition of any perennial weeds or any annual weeds around these young strawberry plants. In this section here, we're just going to spread those runners around so it mats up the whole row. But on the side food forest, we've already got a matted row. So what I'm gonna do is take this cup and show you how I can take some of those strawberry plants and multiply them even more so I can give them away in the future. Some of you may remember, but in a few of the previous videos, I talked about how we went through and pulled off any of the first round of flowers on these strawberry plants. And you can see why we did it. As a result of doing that, we had these strawberries focus on their root growth first off, which is so important, especially when you're putting in bare root plants. And then secondly, they focused on sending out runners. So a number of these plants have multiple runners on them already. And more runners means more strawberry plants. So what we'll do is we'll take these runners, and this is where the new strawberry plant's gonna be. It'll start rooting right from the tip. I like to just bury some of that and also take the tip and bury it in. So what I'll do is come back with a little black leaf mulch, put it around the base, and treat it really nicely. You'll notice in these sections though, the wood chips aren't as thick in this little alley as they are on the sides. We knew the runners were coming. If the wood chips are too thick, the runners won't root. So we've got just a thin layer of wood chips so we can have the runners root in nicely. And this section right here is what that row should look like in the future. A nice thick matted row going between the trees, giving us a nice little area to walk through. I mentioned it in a previous video how this is truly the year of the berry. We're getting epic amount of berries this year. Blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. I mean, the best berries we ever have by far. And we've got some ripe blueberries already, and even the black cap raspberries are ripening up. So soon I'll show you guys some of those, because the black caps, oh my gosh. They're one of my favorite tasting berries, but geez, they're also one of the most productive. I need to cut these back and prune them. I'll bring you along for that. But let me show you my little trick with the strawberries first. So you can see right here, we've got a runner, and this is where it's gonna root from right this section here into the ground. But that also sent out another runner. So we've got two runners here. This is how you just get a lot of free strawberry plants. And you can root them into the ground, like this one has, you can see, and this one just recently rooted as well. But I wanna actually root them into cups. This way I can give them away to friends really easily. You could do it like this, but I'm gonna dig it into the ground a little bit to get it to the right height. So let me just pull back what little wood chips we have left here. Dig into the soil a little. Not too deep, but I just want this sitting at a good height where this can go in. Maybe a little more, a little higher. And we'll just build some soil around that, and then I'll water this in. I can do the same thing with another cup right here. This one's already pretty high. So what I'm gonna do though is allow this one to root first. Let this one grow a little more before I try to shove it into a cup. So we'll get this one rooted nicely. As that one starts to grow, we'll stick another cup in there. One thing I really want to mention to you guys though, is if you're using a cup like this, or any cups, anytime you're using any potting things, you have to have holes in the bottom. That's so important. You need that drainage. Without that drainage, you're gonna have water that sits at the bottom, and it's gonna go anaerobic when you get that bad smell, and that actually will kill your roots and give it root rot. So make sure you've got holes at the bottom. That looks good. I'm gonna come through, water that, and then I'll go around, and I've got plenty more runners that I can stick in, and I could have, you know, so many plants to give away for free. You may be thinking, James, why didn't you just do that for the new food forest? Why'd you go out and order more bare root ones? Well, the reason I did that was for the variety. If I take the ones here and just move them throughout the property, then it's just the same ones over and over. That gets a little boring in my opinion, but that also gets less stable. We want a diverse number of varieties. Maybe some do good one year, some do better the other year, and that's just how I like to do it. The same thing with the fruit trees too. In the end, to get different varieties, it may cost a little more, but I've talked about it before. We need to balance and know the difference between cost and worth. So it might cost more, but in my opinion, it's worth way, way more. Look at those red fleshed apples, looking beautiful. These apples in the side garden didn't get hit with the curculio as bad, which is awesome. This apple here is a McIntosh. This one we actually healed from a potted tree, and I did a video about that maybe a couple years ago. I did say I was gonna give you a peek at the new food forest though. So let me take you in there, show you the progression of it, and oh man, these berries, I can't stop looking at them. I'll just repeat doing that same thing with the red cups and get free strawberry plants. Easily to move them around throughout the property if I want to, or just give them away. You can see we've got a lot of cucumbers and stuff coming up in the new food forest. It's really starting to hit the next level. It was slow to go, but some of that was because of me. I just didn't have that much time to give it love. But now I'm here to really put my all into it. And the zucchinis are coming up looking nice. The green beans are looking great. A few weeds in there, but nothing I can't pull out in a couple minutes. The tomatoes are really looking great as they set their roots in finally. Let me take you inside and give you a closer peek. In this front corner right here is where we get the most sunlight. That's where we're gonna just leave for annuals. All the other sections we have fruit trees. One row here we've got pears, pear there, another one. And all varieties that should do well in our location. A couple Asian pears because we love them. And the first row of strawberries, first row. The trees are doing real well. A lot of the trees we cut back. You guys can go to the food forest phase, I'm not sure, maybe phase 5 video, where we showed you how vigorously we cut these trees back. But you can see what happened. They focused on the roots. After focusing on the roots, now they can focus on growth because we've got big healthy roots down there to support this little tree. Another pear tree right here. I've shown you in my last food forest video that pears do the best in our location. So we've got a number of those in. This one looks like it may need a little water. So we'll make sure we give it a little water if we don't get any rain soon. Some of the tomatoes are getting bigger, like I mentioned, finally start to set in. and we do our hard pruning method on those. The apples are doing all right, not great. They were doing a little better early in the season, but they're just adjusting right now into their new homes. And these tomatoes over here just started to green up as the weather is changing a little. And some of these peppers right here, they're just taking a little more time. They're waiting for a little better weather as well. It's funny walking around in the new food forest with how small the trees are. I didn't really realize how small they were until like I went from the big one into this one. It really gives you perspective. Some of you may be in your first year too, or maybe you haven't even started yet and you're just having trouble getting started. I encourage you to just do a little bit every day. I heard something and it really stuck with me. Someone said that your philosophy, your daily philosophy, that's all gonna accumulate together. He said, whether you choose a candy bar a day or an apple a day, that's gonna make a big difference when all the years accumulate. After one day, you may not be sick from eating a candy bar, but after a number of days all added together, candy bar or apple, that's a big choice. Here's the row of strawberries we planted most recent, doing well also. And we've got some little peppers in between the trees, still adjusting slowly. I may have to make a compost tea for them just to kind of turn them around a little bit. Here we've got a basil. It's looking nice. Soon we'll be making some tomato basil because you gotta have them next to each other, classics. I need to get some more flowers in here as well. I'm probably gonna put some calendulas, some more marigolds. These tomatoes are doing real well. And this area gets the most sunlight in the whole yard. So the location with the most sunlight is really doing well. The trees are doing great. The kale is looking the best on the whole property. As you can see, getting bit a little bit, but that's how you know it's completely organic, completely natural. Some of the peach trees may look small, but we've got some beautiful growth on it. Again, we focused on the roots when they were young. Some more stuff over here. And as the broccoli is all finishing up, I've got to harvest that one in the back. It got big. This one got pretty big. The one behind it got even bigger. And look, I'm a little late on it. I'll have to harvest this one tonight. Broccoli's been really good. We're just eating that raw, it's so good. And most of the tomatoes are all pruned, except that one. I've got to get on it. And another peach tree here. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I need some help from you though, down in the comment section. I need to know what else I should be planting in the new food forest. I've got a lot of space still. Those things I put in were just mostly foundational things, disease-resistant, good, reliable varieties. Now I can have a little fun with it, add some more bushes and a lot of different things to bring in the diversity. You can see I'm growing a lot of annuals now to fill the space in, but that's gonna be a perennial food forest, just like the one we're in now. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and it's a big help when you ring that notification bell. Share this one with your friends too, if you found value in it. Check us out on Steemit though, we're always posting on there. Till next time, James Prigioni, peace out.